All right, everybody, welcome back. How's everybody doing? Give us some high fives on the chat. Let us know you're here. I see a lot of you. Hello from France. Britta, big heart. Welcome, everybody. So I'm your host, Gil McKiff, and today we're going to be talking about mindset, time, energy, and a strong start. We could get into your morning routine, right? But chances are really good you've heard this presentation before on morning routine. We're going to twist it up a little bit. I mean, the principle is sound, morning routine. However, what are we really talking about? Time, energy, and a strong start, right? So we're going to unpack a few different principles around this subject. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end. And we don't have an announcement about the call coming up on this Friday because Recruiting Mastery is coming up on the 6th. So hopefully you're all excited for that. But time, energy, and a strong start. So consider this. You don't lose because you ran out of hours. You typically lose because you ran out of emotional tolerance. Yeah? I've had it up to here. I need a break. I don't have enough patience anymore for this. I'm sick of this for now. The reactive tendencies, yeah? So you don't lose because you ran out of hours. And so many people are saying this, right? I don't have enough hours in the day. But emotional tolerance, let that sink in for a second. In the profession of network marketing, nobody's coming to structure your day for you, right? Nobody's forcing you to make the call. Nobody's grading you. Nobody's going to do this for you. So your mindset becomes your structure. And all of you are here. I've been blessed to get to work with so many of you already one-on-one. But all of you are here because you're wanting improvement. And I would even go beyond that. You're not here just because you want improvement. You're here because you've chosen improvement. We spoke about this before, the difference between a decision and a choice. Yep, totally true. You are the one to decide what your day looks like. Absolutely. You decide. So if nobody's coming to structure your day for you, you're an entrepreneur. This is your profession. This is up to you. So we're going to talk about 3 points. I want to give you 3 mindset shifts pertaining to the subject that I think is going to separate an amateur from a professional. But first is time. I want you to consider time. It's rejection tolerance. Yeah? Rewriting the message, waiting for a better time, watching another training, tweaking your page. What's the activity that you're delaying? Right? We've talked a lot in the past about IPAs, income producing activities. We'll talk a little bit more about that today. But in rewriting your message and waiting for a better time and watching another training, what's the activity that you're delaying? Yeah? Typically, that's the one that is tied to pain. Yeah? Remember, if you perceive more pain in doing it than in not doing it, you'll notice within your behavior a tendency to avoid it. And I'm sure many of you are already familiar with this. I know I've had conversations about this with several of you. But whatever's tied to rejection or pain. So the hint here is you don't manage time. You manage your reaction to pain, whether it's perceived pain or actual pain. So there's a cycle to this. Let's talk about doing your outreach, right? If I consider doing my outreach, the outreach would lead to a possible no, right? And that's an ego discomfort. And now there's some kind of natural delay. Yeah? And when there's that delay, what do we typically substitute that with? Fake productivity. Fake productivity. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Right? Well, look, the dishes are all put away and the laundry's done and the house is clean, right? I'm busy. I'm getting things done. But the reason we call it fake productivity, yeah, busyness, Teresa, is because I'm delaying the activities that are going to produce the results. Yeah? Yes, I'm reading your mind. So preparation. I love this quote. Preparation is procrastination wearing a professional outfit. Preparation is procrastination wearing a professional outfit. Ouch. That kind of stings a little bit, doesn't it? Now, it's not an absolute, right? It's got its place. Yeah? I mean, obviously, if you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. Yeah? So be prepared. It has its place. But I really think the quote should be over preparation. Yeah? Over preparation. Yeah, I need to do it again. No, it's not quite right. This perfectionist attitude. Preparation is procrastination wearing a professional outfit. I love it. So let's raise the standard, okay? Professionals build rejection tolerance. Amateurs build excuses. One more time. Profession builds rejection tolerance. Professionals build rejection tolerance. Amateurs build excuses. Excuses come out like limiting beliefs. We've already talked about how to clear limiting beliefs temporarily and permanently. Hopefully you took notes and hopefully you've been practicing with that. But when rejection loses its emotional weight, your calendar starts filling up with income-producing actions. Yeah? So instead of avoiding pain, we're saying, well, it needs to be done. Let's just get it done. Yeah? And more often than not, when we just get it done, we find out that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Coming up on week 4 of this month, we're going to be diving into a little bit different presentation on the value of a no. I know just about every organization has talked about the value of a no. If you make $1,000 when one person says yes, and it takes 10 people to get a yes, then it's about $100 per presentation, right? Well, even $100 for a no, sometimes a lot of people are going to be like, I don't want it. I don't want it. So week 4 of this month, on the 24th, we're going to be talking about a different perspective on the value of a no. But a no equals arguably rejection. And so I'm avoiding rejection. That's painful. I'm avoiding the difficulty. It doesn't even have to be rejection. It just, somebody doesn't land. Somebody doesn't stick. Somebody doesn't follow through. Somebody no-shows. So when you're when rejection loses its emotional weight, your calendar fills with income-producing action. Yeah? You're not trying to avoid pain. You're not trying to live your life avoiding pain. That's like living your life chasing summer. Where's summer? I need to go there. I need to go there. Gosh, there's so much joy and fun in winter and fall and spring and summer. They all have their pros and cons. But if we're always chasing summer, or we're just trying to avoid pain all the time, it's not going to be the way we want to go. This is going to be self-sabotage. So, yeah. Emotional intelligence here. That's what we're cultivating. Time, it's rejection tolerance. Consider this. 5 minutes of debating whether or not you're going to do your follow-ups seems to last a whole lot longer than even something like 3 hours of flow, right? Time slows down when you're not having fun. Time speeds up when you are having fun. So think about anticipation, think about avoidance, think about stress, think about the opposite, enthusiasm, excitement. What happens to time? Kind of compresses in the heaviness and or it expands in the heaviness and it compresses in the lightness. Time flies when you're having fun, right? But energy, your state is your energy. In network marketing, energy is what is being transferred in your conversations. So you could say energy is a belief transfer. How many of you have been getting the excuse, and I know I spoke with one of you earlier about this today, but the excuse of, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it, right? That may be true for a lot of people. It really may be so that they cannot afford it. But if we contrast this to, well, if your life were on the line, could you afford it? Like, how much does this cost? And what's the value of it that I get? Well, it's not life or death. Obviously, I could afford it if it were life or death, but I can't afford this means I don't see this much value in what you're presenting me with. Yeah? So what happens when you hear that 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times? Well, if you've made it to 1,000, you're probably in the category of professional by now. Yeah? But if you've made it to 100, you might be getting really frustrated by this. And if that's the case, then you've started to adopt the belief that people don't have the money. People can't afford this. That's dangerous because that becomes your projection. That becomes your communication. So in network marketing, energy is a belief transfer. What do you believe? Do you believe they can't afford this? Do you believe this is too expensive? What do you believe? That's getting projected in your communication. So remember a cool statement. People join confidence. They don't join compensation plans. Yeah? In other words, if you're presenting, you want to be an ambassador of what you believe. Well, naturally, you're being an ambassador of what you believe. Yeah? If you believe this is going to be really hard, right? I know all the struggles that I've been through, and I know this person is going to have to go through it too. And honestly, I'm not sure if they're going to succeed or not. So I'm starting to just cover all of that up. It's in the subconscious, and this is in my energy, in my communication. This gets projected. And so many people will end up saying, gosh, you know what? That sounds really good, but I can't do it right now. Let me get back to you. I need to talk to my best friend because they've done something like this before, and I just want to get some objective feedback. I need to talk to my spouse. I'm just not, I don't have my credit card right now. I can't do it right. Whatever. Where's all of these excuses coming from if it sounds good, right? The energy communication. So in network marketing, energy is a transfer of belief. Yeah? They don't join compensation plans. That's hope. They join confidence. That's evidence. Yeah? So are you authentically, energetically representing what you're selling? Yeah? What are you selling? Yeah, and we are salespeople, but remember in our module 1, if you've gone through some of the curriculum and the one-on-ones, we talk about selling actually is serving. Yeah? So how are you serving people? Are you serving people with, hey, it's possible this might work out, but in the back of my mind, I know it's going to be really hard, and I'm not quite sure you're going to make it. But I'd like to just give you some confidence. I know you can do it, and I'll help you. Yeah? This is important because when you present to somebody, if you're sounding urgent, if you're sounding needy, if you sound like you need them, that's repelling, right? So what you said was great. You stuck to your script. You gave your presentation. What you said was great. But how you sounded gave pause for concern. Really? That urgentness, that neediness? You need them? Got to watch that because it repels people. So a good way to look at this is when your commission determines your confidence, your posture collapses. Wrong posture. Remember the contrast between a manager and a leader? The leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, shows the way. The leader is people-centric. They're all about helping and serving you, and they'll do it through their own example. The manager says, metrics, you need to hit your numbers. I've got expectations. Yeah? And then I'm starting to get frustrated because ownership is coming down on management saying, what's going on with your people? Why aren't they hitting your numbers? And they just pass that on down. Managers are not what we need in network marketing. Leaders are what we need. And I know you've had that training over and over, but I'm just kind of reinforcing it. But let's flip that. So when your commission determines your confidence, your posture collapses. If we were to flip that, when your identity is separate from your outcome, your energy is going to stabilize, meaning I'm good. Whether you say yes or no, I'm good. Like your decision here isn't determining my happiness. That's why I hated my manager when I used to work. She was not a leader. And that's why you're now more engrossed in network marketing. Yes, new profession, high five. So when identity is separate from your outcome, energy stabilizes. That's surrendering the outcome. I'm good whether or not you join. I'm comfortable, I'm confident. It's not going to hurt me if you say no. Yeah? If that can become authentic, I'm no longer coming across with that dependency and that desperation. Yeah? Desperation repels, regulation attracts. Write it down. Desperation repels, regulation attracts. Now, desperation, a lot of us are going to be saying, I'm not desperate, but turn down the volume on desperate and you have dependent. Are you dependent on this person? Next week, we're going to be talking about the difference between pushy and persistent. This is important, but this dependency on the outcome. You know, how desperate for this sale are you to hit your numbers, to make rank this week, this month? Desperation repels, regulation attracts. Yeah, attracts. Oksana, I see you. Desperation repels, regulation attracts. So if I can demonstrate that I've got control over me, right? I'm regulating my mental, emotional state. I'm good. You know, you might throw a curveball at me, like, is this one of those pyramid schemes? Right? But how do I respond to that? Right? If my energy is dysregulated, I'm defensive about that subject. It bothers me. It upsets me. Why would you even ask this? Of course it's legitimate. I'm representing it. No, there's no need to be defensive around people's objections. Their objections are just the statements that they're making until they say yes. So we have conversation about that. Network marketing being a pyramid scheme. What are you talking about? Are you living in 1978 where that was actually a thing? Come on. No, network marketing is legitimate. You should be involved too. I mean, financial independence and time freedom. What part of that don't you get? So the leadership piece here is that your team is going to duplicate your state before they duplicate your script. That's leadership. So how can I demonstrate leadership? How can I demonstrate this emotional regulation? If you want duplication, you've got to regulate your nervous system first. And so many of the previous calls we've been talking about here are about regulating your nervous system. Yeah? Your nervous system says, problem, fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol. And that turns into desperation and dependency. Rejections come from limiting beliefs, says Tina. I think so. Yeah, if you believe that you're not very good at this, you're going to generate proof on the outside. Whatever you believe, you're going to generate proof of on the outside. But worth writing down is your team duplicates your state before they duplicate your script. So if you want healthy duplication, learn how to regulate your nervous system first. Share some of these principles that you're learning here with your team. One thing you've heard me share before, if I've worked with you one-on-one, I think it's really important, and that is to hold the mindset of become for your downline everything you wish you would have had and or appreciated in your upline. What did you love about your upline? Become that for your downline. What do you wish your upline would have had? Become that for your downline. So the leader is, according to Brian Tracy, somebody who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. from the inside out, right? Not just the outside. That's important too. Do the work, but from the inside out, regulate your nervous system. And previous conversations, we've talked more about how to do that. But that is time and energy. Next, we want to be talking about the strong start, right? I want to say IPAs first, right? Eat the frog first. What's the most difficult thing I've got to do? Let's do that first. But honestly, we had a conversation about meditation. Meditation should be first. Start with a well-regulated state. Start with presence. Start with authenticity and sincerity and humility and surrender and peace. Start with that joy. If your day starts with that, now bring that to your IPAs. So if we want to get practical, we already know what an IPA is, income producing activities, your prospecting, your follow-ups, your presentations, your social media. Outside of your IPAs, everything else is like maintenance. I like that, Teresa. Breathe and serve. But yeah, outside of your IPAs, it's like you're working on your business, not working in your business. Your IPAs tend to be showing up while you're doing the work that needs to be done, right? Income producing activity. If you're not engaged in income producing activity, again, maintenance. So here's a fun one too for energy. If your day starts with your comfort zone, then ultimately what happens to your identity is you start identifying with, I'm busy. Yeah? If your day starts with exposure, then your identity starts to become, I'm a builder, I'm a creator. So one thing that I want to challenge all of you to do, if you're not already doing it, is consider before 10 a.m., have you done something that can get you paid? Before 10 a.m., have you done something that can get you paid? If the answer is no, you're organizing, not building. And that organizing has its place, but let's go 80-20 on that. 20% organization, 80% execution. Yeah? Do the work. IPAs. Work in your business, work on your business. Both are important. But before 10 a.m., have you done something that could get you paid? So let's raise the standard. One uncomfortable IPA before 10 a.m. changes your business. Repeat it. One uncomfortable IPA before 10 a.m. changes your business. That's the anchor. So if we're going to bring this all together, time expands when rejection loses its power, when pain stops making your choices for you. Energy scales when identity detaches from the outcome. Your energy can grow, your authenticity can come through when you're no longer dependent on that outcome. That's the surrender, be patient. Step 5, what we discussed in our very first conversation. 10 a.m. phrase is one to write on bathroom's mirror. Yeah. At the truck stop, write it on the bathroom mirror at the truck stop, and at the convenience store, put it on those mirrors too. What was time expands when? When rejection loses its power. Time expands when rejection loses its power. Energy scales when identity detaches from the outcome. And momentum compounds when exposure leads your day. Yeah? And if at 10 I have one job, I'm not sure what you're asking, Carla. Do you have to go to work at 10? Or if it's one job before 10, an income producing activity. In fact, I would recommend that one income producing activity is the thing that you avoid most, the thing that you don't like the most. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. It doesn't matter if you're not good at it. Is it required to get to the goal? Yeah? If it is required, then we need to drop the limiting belief of I don't like it or I'm not good at it. We need to drop that. It's just a limiting belief. It's true, but it's never going to help you hit your goal. Eat the frog first. Yep, you got it. What's that hardest thing that you perceive? Do it first. And it's not going to be easy until it becomes a habit. And none of these IPAs are something you do once and you're done. The 10 a.m. quote again is one uncomfortable IPA before 10 a.m. changes your business. One uncomfortable IPA before 10 a.m. changes your business. I wrote something else. Let me see if I can find it on this one. I'm not seeing it right off the bat. Oh, I know where it is. It's right. Nope, I didn't write it. Well, yeah, one uncomfortable IPA before 10 a.m., that's going to change your business. So time is not, or network marketing is not a time business. It's an emotional endurance business. We know this. Emotional endurance. If you can regulate your mood, this is called emotional intelligence. Build your rejection tolerance, regulate your state, lead with exposure. Professionals do the uncomfortable first, right? There's a quote that I heard that is totally worth sharing, and that is, successful people made a habit out of doing the things that unsuccessful people didn't want to do. I love that quote. Successful people made a habit out of doing things that unsuccessful people didn't want to do. So your challenge, tomorrow morning before 10 a.m., send the message that you've been avoiding. That's how you go pro, right? Make the calls that you've been avoiding. Preparation has its place. Implementation has its place. So let's go to some of your questions now. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. What's your recommendation on how to reset with a prospect who I may have peaked with the wrong energy now that I'm a professional? Yeah, follow up and tell them what you learned, right? Lead with the lesson. Right? The last time we spoke, I've got to apologize. I mean, I look back on that conversation that we had, and honestly, what I could see in me felt a little bit desperate. I just wanted to share with you an update, what I've learned since then, and this is getting really good, so I just wanted to follow up with you again because I really believe this could be a game changer for you. So can we just start over, right? Be honest, be integrous, but, lead with the interest of what you've learned, what you've gained in that perspective. Lead with the lesson. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, who else? Comments, questions? Got a couple minutes left. Don't all speak at once. We've only got limited time here. Network marketing was tolerance. And now? It's not allowing us to unmute. Yeah, you got to type in your questions. You can't vocalize them. There's too many people here. It would get crazy. Network marketing was tolerance and what? Yeah, I'm not sure, but we spoke at the very beginning that it was rejection tolerance. Yeah. Time was rejection tolerance. Yeah. Network marketing is a profession that you can achieve financial independence in time with. Who doesn't want that? In network marketing, energy is a belief transfer. People join confidence. They don't join compensation plans. Don't get me wrong, some compensation plans are really exciting, but if commission determines your confidence, your posture collapses, like we said before. So if we can separate your identity from the outcome, your energy stabilizes. Desperation repels, regulation attracts. But what else? You're welcome. Oh, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate you. What was the energy quote? Was it in network marketing, energy is a belief transfer? Was that the one you were looking for? I'm not sure. Yeah. This was really good. Going to put that into practice before 10 a.m. Emotional tolerance, yes. So literally tell my prospect I had the energy that I needed him, and now I've learned not to. Well, no, just make it fascinating about how you were so dependent on the outcome and what you've learned about yourself. Yeah. So the lesson is, gosh, I was so dependent on getting numbers, hitting numbers, and I was really sabotaging my business because I wasn't sharing what I was really passionate about. But you know, I was taught in my business to go out and recruit and overcome objections and use this pitch. And what I've learned is, yeah, I've got to use the pitch, you got to use the script and the presentation, but I've also learned that if I'm desperate, I can repel people, and it interferes with how valuable this opportunity or service really is. Uh, so I feel like I interfered with the value that I'm talking about. So I'd just like to share that value with you again one more time. Let me explain why I think it's so valuable to you. And I know we're out of time. We'll take one last question. What do you say when someone says yes to a presentation, watches it, but then ghosts you in the follow-up? Well, this is what we're going to talk more about next week, the difference between being pushy and persistent. So come back next week and we will unpack that. But bottom line is you've got to address it, and also you've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, right? When to pursue and when to just let it go. But we will be talking more about that next week. Thank you for the question, Jonah. So everybody, thank you. I wish we had more time for these calls, but I know you've got a busy life. You've got a lot of IPAs ahead of you. So one IPA before 10 a.m., commit to it. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here today. Take care, everybody.
Ya puedes hablar.
Sí, sí, no sé.